Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are going to be watching this video from. This is your friend Okbayemi Stephen in the School of Learning and Development. I hope you are having an amazing time today. So today I'm going to be talking about the Intune app protection policy for mobile devices, that is securing the BYOD, which is bring your own device on Android, on iOS and Android, okay, on iOS and Android. So I'm going to be walking you through how you can configure this app policy for the mobile devices, okay, which means that for personal mobile devices, okay. So this is a means of protection. This is a means of protection that controls corporate data inside mobile app, even when the device itself is not enrolled in Intune. And they are known as the foundation of the Microsoft mobile application management. Okay, so now the strategy for the bring your own device, the strategy for bring your own device is the protect data protect data, not the device. Okay, so the data, what we are protecting is the data and not the device. Okay, so no access to personal photo, messages or app, no full device wipe, no device enrollment required. Corporate data stays inside approved apps only. Okay, all right, so that's I'm going to walk you through how you can configure this. Now, why do we need to configure this app? Why do we need to configure this into app protection policy? Okay, now this allow employees to use their personal phones while the IT protect only the work data. Okay, which is like the Outlook, the Teams, whatever you have, the OneDrive, the Office app, and any Microsoft managed app. Okay, and now this app protection policy is going to be combined together with the conditional access policy. Okay, so that will now make this bring your own device to be more secure without touching personal data. Okay, so you're going to be configuring alongside with the conditional access policy. Okay, now what app actually protect? What are the app that I say? So it allow the app and prevent corporate data from escaping into personal apps or storage. Okay, so for example, we need to copy anything that has to do with copy and paste onto a platform from the company's apps, maybe onto your OneNote on your phones, okay, where you do have the savers you want to save. So all those things needs to be blocked, okay, and we are giving you access to those apps, the organization apps, on your personal phone, but we are blocking that you cannot able to transfer any company's data. So data will not be leaked from your personal phone to maybe your OneDrive, or maybe you want to copy to your OneNote or whatever. Okay, now, all right, so I'm going to quickly walk you through how we can actually configure that in your Microsoft Intune environment. Okay, so now this is your M365 environment. As you all know, these are M365 environment. Now to go to our Microsoft team, so go to our Microsoft Intune, you come up here and then you click on your Microsoft Intune. So this takes you to the admin. Okay, so to be able to do this, you must have the necessary permission. Is that the Intune administrator, or you must be a global administrator to be able to configure this. Okay, so now this is your environment, this is your Intune environment. So what you need to do, then you now come up here, you come to apps. So when you come to these apps here, you click on apps here, and then you now come to protection. Okay, click on protection. Now when you click on protection, then here now we are now going to now create that particular policy. Okay, and now I'm going to configure for the iOS. Okay, so you come up here, click on create, and then you can see you have the iOS slash iPad OS. Okay, so I'll click on that. Okay, so you can also do the same thing for the Android. Okay, so you can see that I'm doing good. I'm going to do for the iOS. So you click on that. Now when you click on that, you come up here and then you now give it a name. Just close all this. You give it that policy a name. So I can say app policy 001. So it depends on the naming convention you want to give it. So I'll come up here, app, app protection policy iOS. Okay, so I'll do that, and then I can come up here and then give it my description. So you can give it a description if you want to. It's quite very important. So you come up here, click on your next. So when you click on your next, you now come up here, say target policy to select app. So here you come up here and select. You have the all apps, you have the all Microsoft apps, and you have the core Microsoft apps. So when you click on the all apps here, you now come up here and say view a list of apps that will be targeted. If you click on here it will now display all the apps. You can see we have a lot here. You can see you have a lot. So you come up here, you can come back here again and say, okay, if you want to click on all Microsoft apps, click on this, then it's going to display a lot of apps for you. But for this demo, I'm going to be using the core Microsoft apps. Okay, I'll click on that and then click on this so you can see what we are actually protecting. So I'll just click on close. So I'm okay with this. I'll now click on my next. Now, when you click on your next, when you now come up here, you click on your next. Now there are some certain settings that you need to configure. Okay, there are some certain settings that is required for you to configure. Here is we have backup organization data to Intune and iCloud backup. I don't want to allow that. I'll click on block. So I need that to be blocked. Okay, now here you said send organization data to other apps. Come up here, you have all apps, you have policy app, you have manage app. So here you now come up here and click on the policy manage apps. Okay, because these are the apps we want to manage. Okay, click on the policy manage apps. So when you click on that, then you now come up here, you have save copies of organization data. Do I want to allow that? No. I'll click on block. So I'm going to block that. I don't want to allow that. Now when you now click on that, then you now come up here, you can see allow user to save copies to selected services. If you come up here, you have all these ones. You can see that. So you can just leave that. I'll just leave that. And then transfer telecommunication data to any dial app. Yeah, I'll leave that. And then I will come up here, transfer messaging data to any messaging app. So I will leave that particular one the way it is. And here you now have received data from other apps. Come up here and I'll click on the policy manage apps. Okay, policy manage apps. Okay, and then the next thing you now come up here you have restrict, cut, copy and paste between other apps. So here you have policy manage app with paste in. So that I will leave that the way it is. Okay, just leave that. Okay, and then here third party keywords, I'll just leave that. Encrypt data is required, and then you now come up here and click on your next. Sorry, let me go down, scroll down. Now you scroll down again. Here you now have functionality, printing data app. I will not allow that. Okay, so I'll click on block. So that's going to be blocked for me. Then you have sync policy manage app with data native. Just I'm going to leave so for this one I'm going to click on block here. So sync policy manage app with data native app, I'm going to click on block. So you block that one too. Okay, and then I will come back here. You have organization data notification, and then I'll just leave that, click on my next. Now let me go back to previous here where you have screenshot, say screenshot capture. I can decide to say block. I don't want them to do any screenshots, so I can decide to block that particular one, and I'll click on my next. Then when you click on your next, then the next thing here is this is where you need to now configure the PIN credential requirement that the user must meet to access apps in that work content. Okay, so here you have PIN for access, you have required. Now, yes, I want PIN to be required. Now, what type of PIN do I want to require? Is it the numeric or the passcode? When you use numeric will just give you it depends on just give you the numbers. Okay, so if you say passcode, so when you say passcode, now passcode will give you the alpha numeric. Okay, that is the which is more stronger. Okay, to alpha numeric. Now I will just come up here and maybe let me just leave it for this numeric because of this is just uh, a lab. Okay, so in production you can decide to use passcode, which will give you the alpha numeric, which is more stronger and complex, which is more secured. Okay, so we can use that in production. Okay, now you have the simple pin. Do you want to allow simple pin or you want to block that? So when you say simple pin, means that people users can decide to use 1234, they can start to use 111, they can start to use 234. Okay, those are simple pin. Okay, but if you want to block that, you can say okay, block that if you don't want to use simple pin. So this enforce that the pin should not, so just for to prevent what any weak pin. Okay, you can enforce that, but for the purpose of this tutorial I'm just going to leave it at allowed for now. Then you now have the select maximum pin length. You can put it on 4, you can put it on 6, but for security purpose and for stronger security you make use of 6. Okay, so I can do 6 so if I feel like. Now here you now have touch ID instead of pin code for access. Now for that one I can decide to allow user, which means that they can use their fingerprint instead of pin, or I can decide to say okay, block just pin alone. This is also improve user experience while maintaining what security in your organization. Okay, so I can leave that. Then here you now have timeout. Timeout minutes of inactive. I can come up here and say okay, 15 minutes. Okay, you can put it there, or you just leave it at okay, it says 15, or let's leave it at that 30. So you can put what you want there. So here you now have the touch ID. You come up here, you have reset, pin reset after numbers of days. I can decide to say yes, which means that after 90 days the pin should be reset. Okay, but not to trouble your user, so you can decide to click on no. Just leave it like that. Okay, I can decide to click on no. The numbers of days will be displayed there for you. The app pin, why pin device pin is set. So this simply means that you want to we want to require what pin, even though the users has pin on their own personal phone. Okay, so we still need to require pin. Okay, so when inactive, okay, so they need to require pin aside from the pin they have for their personal device. Okay, and then this work or school account credential for access, yes, you can click on require. If you want to, you can click on require in production, but I'm just going to leave it like that. Now you have recheck the access requirement after minutes of inactive. You can also alterate this one, or you can leave it the way it is. Then here I'll now come up here and click on my next. Now when you click on your next, then you now come up here, you have the maximum pin attempt. So which means that how many value do you want, which means that once you attempt that particular pin for like let's say 5 times and you're putting the wrong pin, is going to action that will be required is to reset that pin, or you can say wipe data. Okay, but we click on reset pin. Okay, and here you have the offline grace period. You have the offline grace period 90 days. Here you can choose to wipe, so you can leave it that way it is. And then here you now have the jailbreak. Okay, you can decide to say, okay, minimum version of OS that that particular IO device must have to be able to use your company data or your company data app on it. Okay, so I can decide to leave that, or you can decide to configure it if you want to. Then here you now come up and click on your next. When you now click on next, then you now come up here, you now add groups. Okay, so you can decide to, maybe you want to apply for just group of users. Okay, or you want to apply to everyone in the organization. So it depends on what you want to do. Okay, so I'm going to apply to those group of users. Let me come up here and let me look for a group I can use. Just 1 second, I need to look for a group I can use. My group of user, let's say I want to apply it. Just going to look for a group. So I'm going to apply this IT engineer group. Let me see my members are in that group. So I'm just going to add one user I want to use. Come up here, I'll add this user I want to use. Bob, yeah. So I'm going to add that user. So that user has been added. So I'll go back to that. I'll now come up here, add groups. Come up here, I'll look for that particular group, which is my IT engineer. That is the name of the group. So click on that. I'll now click on select. So now I've added, they have 3 users in that particular group. Okay, so I'm just selecting it for a set of users, and then you can also exclude if you want to exclude groups. So I'll just click on next. Now, once you finish, everything has been configured, then here you can now come and now click on create. Okay, and that policy will now be created for you within the split of seconds. Okay, so this is the policy for iOS devices. Okay, now like I said, now this policy has been created now. Okay, but this still I mean, this particular policy we have created, we now need to create it alongside with the conditional access policy, because even if the user, they see that they cannot copy data from using the apps, okay, they can simply go on their phone and then maybe go to any of the browser and then open their emails and then copy the data they need to copy and put it on their phone. So it means that our data is still not yet secure. So to make it more secure, then we now need to configure the conditional access policy. Okay, so that works in hand together, okay, with this particular app protection policy. Okay, so before we test run, I'm just going to go and create that particular conditional access policy. Okay, so you see how this work, and then we'll come back and now test for this user. Okay, now so I'll go back to my admin environment, come up here, and then I will click on my identity, which is my Entra ID. This take me to my Entra ID. So when you now come up here, you come up here and click on your conditional access policy. This is your conditional access. Okay, so you click on that, and then you come up here, create, and come up here, you give it a name. Okay, so here, give your policy a name. So I'm just gonna give it a name. So I can give it that particular name, or let me just put uh, okay, so the name, I've given it a name. So you now come up here, users, come up here, click on that. So if you want to apply it to all users, you click on that. But I'm just going to apply it to that particular group. Okay, so I'll click on here and I'll click on group. Here I'll now come up here and select that group, IT engineer. So I'll click on that, select a group. Okay, so that's for that. Then you now come to target resources. You come up here, target resources. On your target resources, this is what we are targeting, all resources. Okay, so all resources, this is what we are actually targeting. Okay, so click on that, and then you now come to your condition. Come to this condition here. When you now come to condition, you now come to device platform. Okay, click on that. When you now come up here, you click on yes, and then you now select your Android. Click on select device platform, and then click on Android and iOS. Okay, so that is our device platform we want to use. Click on that, done. So you now do that, you now come to where you have access control. You come to grants. So what do you want to perform? You come up here, and then I will now click on grant access, but require application protection policy. So I'll click on that. Okay, so can you see that now? So that now helps us to configure. So you now click on your select. Now when you click on your select, then you now come back here, and then you can now turn it on, or you leave it. I'll turn on that policy immediately, and then I'll click on my create. Okay, so that policy will be created for me. Okay, so can you see that? So I've created the conditional access policy. So that has been created for us. So sorry, quickly, I think I forgot to enable a particular setting on the app. So I'll go back to this place here. This is the app protection. I'll click on this one here, and I'm going to go to property. I'm going to edit that policy. So come up here. So under this one here, where you have your where is that settings again? Yeah, so where you have this app, restrict web content transfer app, you come up here and then click on Microsoft Edge. Okay, so make sure you do that. Okay, I forgot to select that particular option, so click on your Microsoft Edge. Okay, so which is the restrict web content transfer with other apps. So click on Microsoft Edge, and I'll click on save. I'll save that settings back. Okay, now our policy has now been configured. Okay, now we've configured the Intune app protection policy, and also we have combined it with the conditional access word policy. Okay, now we need to test. Okay, so I'm just gonna just give me 1 second. So now I'm going to get my stimulator. I'm going to use for testing this particular policy on the mobile device. Okay, now the policy has been configured. We've configured our conditional access policy for the app protection. You can see it's already on. Think we've left it is on already. So, and then we've done this one. So I'll come up here, open this here. So now this is my phone. Okay, this is my phone, and um this is my iPhone. Okay, so here I will now come, and now I'll be operating it from my phone. Okay, so now I will go to my Outlook. Okay, I'll open the Outlook app and then sign in. Come up here, type Outlook, open your Outlook. When you open Outlook, then I'll come up here. I want to sign into that particular user I want to use. Okay, sign in. And remember that the user we choose from here, from this group here, inside here, I want to use this particular user here. I want to use Bob, okay, as example. Okay, so I'm going to sign into this account.man, bob.man at yemtechit.com. I'll click on add account. Now we're going to see how this will work. Okay, Now here it's going to request me for password. Okay, so here I'm going to put in my password for that. And I'll click on sign in. It should ask me for my authenticator, and then I should be okay. Let me go to my authenticator. I'm gonna put in the code, verify. So here is asking me to help to keep your device secure. You need to register. Yeah, click on that. I'll register that. This app on this device already managed. Only a single managed account is allowed on the device. Okay, so let me just remove this one. Remove that one. Yes, yes, remove that. Okay, so now you said your organization is now protecting its data in this app. Restart the app to continue. Can you see that? I click on your OK. So once I click on my OK, I will now go back again. I open my Outlook. Now, once I open my Outlook, now I'll be able to sign in my Outlook. I'll be able to sign in with that particular user on this account. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So now it's checking the organization data access requirement for this app. Okay. So let's wait. So now you can see now it's requesting for you to create a pin. It said your organization require this account's data to be protected with a pin. Okay, you can see where we set the pin. So here is requesting for us. So there we can now create the pin we want to use. Okay. Okay. Now here you say confirm the pin. So I'll come up here. I'll confirm my pin again. Now you can see that the pin has now been created. Say your organization does not allow screen capture or recording. Okay, so that's fine. So here you can. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to go back to that policy and then enable that screen. Should come up here, the screen capture. I'll click on let me allow. So I'll be able to see that one, and I'll come back here. So I'm just going to refresh that page. Okay, so okay, so you can see this is not the inbox, so we can see. So let's assume in I want to come up here now and copy. So if I come up here and click on, let's say I want to copy this now. Yeah, I'm going to say copy, and then I will open, let's say probably my own app. Let's say my notepad, and I want to put that on my notepad. Let me open notepad. Yeah, if I come up here, Or let me just use another app. So here, if I come up here and I want to paste that, you can see it said your organization data cannot be pasted here. So can you see that now? So no matter what you try to do, if you go back to your Outlook here and then you try to copy any company data, it will not allow you. So across all the Microsoft managed apps that we configure there. So if you come back here again, let's say I want to do the same thing. Let me click on paste. You can see it will not allow you to copy the app. Now, if you now decide to say, oh, okay, let me go through the web, and you come up here, you open your browser. Let me open my browser. Let me say Safari. Uh, let me say I open my browser. And if you come up here and you decide to say, okay, you want to go to office.com, come to office.com. And you come up here, you say you want to log in. Yeah, so let me come here and try to log in, or let me just go outlook.com. That's faster. Outlook login. So this, I'm trying to log in via the web. Okay, so Outlook. Now click on sign in. Now sign in on the web. Now sign in with that user bob dot man at yemtech. Click on next. So this should request for password. Okay, now I'll put in the password of that user. Click on sign in. Not now. So here my authenticator, I'll just come up here and approve that. Now you can see here, now you can see say you cannot get in, you cannot get there, you cannot get here from here. Okay, you need to launch the Edge. Okay, the Microsoft Edge. So if I click on that now, let's say launch, I say open Edge. Now if you open Edge, checking your company, checking your organization data access requirement for this app. Now I'm going to remove this account. Yeah, because that was my test account. So this is now checking the data access required for this app. Okay, so here it's requested sign into Microsoft Edge. So now I'll click on that. So I'm going to be signing into this Bob. Yeah, not now. So at times this usually take time, because it take time to go through that policy to allow you to do whatever you need to do. Okay, so let's give it some time. So now you can see that your organization is now protecting data on this app. So click on OK, ask it to restart, then go back again. You open your Edge. Once you open your Edge, come to your Outlook. Trying to access my Outlook. Yes, that's me. Password again. You can sign in. No, I don't want to save that. The authenticator, come up here. So now I said, let's keep your account secure. Okay, so you click on next, click on next. Once you click on next, it should take you in. Review your info, make sure this info is up to date, blah blah blah. Yes, yeah, looks good. And then I will now click on yes, or I click on no, it depends. So now we are now signed into our Outlook on the web. Okay, this is Outlook on the web. Now let's try to see if we can copy any data. Okay, let's say if you come here and I say, okay, I want to copy data. If I uh, come up here, I say copy. Okay, as you can copy, and then you now decide to say, oh, you want to put it here. You can see if I come up here and I try to paste that data will not be copied. So your organization data cannot be pasted here. Can you see that now? So you can see that we have now been able to what, to configure this particular Intune app protection policy for mobile devices to secure what, the BYOD, which is bring your own device. Okay, so now if the user decide to go on the browser, even when they log in to their email on the browser and they decide they want to copy any data, they won't still be able to do that. Okay, why? Because we've configured this particular policy in line with our conditional access policy. Okay, now what have we tried to do now? In one word, everything we have just tried to do now. Now, what we have simply tried to do now is to configure our app policy for our user using their own personal device. Okay, so to allow productivity. Okay, if for example your organization is not giving a mobile phone to user, maybe organization mobile phone to allow to use their own personal mobile phone, then we should not just allow them to log into company data, and why data can now get leakage. Okay, so now this policy has now secure our corporate data on personal iOS and Android devices by enforcing app level control like pin. You can see we set up the pin, we enable the encryption, and then we restrict a lot of things there. And then so this is an ideal solution for the BYOD. I do hope you have gained one or two things from this tutorial. Please don't I just want to take your time to watch this video. I know it might quite be long, okay, so but it's worth it for you to really understand how to configure this policy in your organization. Okay, so I remain your friend Okoyemi Stephen in the School of Learning and Development. If you are just coming across my video for the first time, we love subscriber. I need you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just click on the notification bell, click on the subscribe button, and then click on the notification bell so that when I post new content, you can get to see it. And our subscriber, I want to appreciate you for always coming through to watch my video. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like I usually say, I'm open for collaboration. I'm open for, we are all here to learn, unlearn, learn and unlearn. Okay. I do hope you have learned one or two things from this video. I remain your friend once again, Okwemi Stephen in the School of Learning and Development. I will see you in some other video. Bye bye for now. Thank you.